Live at the door. All right. All right, you're good. You go inside. Good morning, everyone. I'm really lucky to have lots of variety when it comes to talking to lots of musicians, and I'm really lucky today to get to speak to John Galm. And is it Galm or Galm?
It's Galm.
Galm.
You got it right.
I nailed it. Yes. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, introduce yourself, man. I've listened to this new record. It's incredible.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I'm John Galm. I make music and hang out. I don't know.
So first things first, this record, what a feat.
Oh,
my
wow,
dude,
thank you.
this is a wonderful, this is one of those like, my first thought was like, okay, cool. Someone needs to, every song on this record could be put onto some montage for like Little Miss Sunshine. And like it's you've made like movie trailer indie documentary music. Like it's so good.
Oh, that's so nice to hear.
It's like you've made Little Miss Sunshine. If that movie was like was distilled into like a record, that's what it sounds like to me. It's just like I want to lay down on the floor and just kind of like make sure it's like, I got a blanket and I just kind of want to just like think about stuff. Like that is exactly how you made me feel. And that's what I ended up doing. It was like I had no choice but to like kind of put this record down and just lay down on the floor.
That's like before I drove. So when I was like, like an early teenager, that was pretty much my preferred way of listening to music. So that actually
Good.
That means a lot to me. Just like laying longingly somewhere and just like listening to the saddest shit you ever.
Yeah, dude.
Just
like this is like you've like that you have done a record that is like it's like I feel like yearning. I like that is the best like way to like I just want to be like I want to be driving an old car in some back roads and just having this record on, and I just want to think about my whole life. There's a lot of music that makes you like think about the future and stuff. It's like, no, dude, I want to reflect. I want to yearn.
Yeah.
Past.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. I'm so impressed. Something I want to talk to you about is like the first of all, did you do everything?
So the process was I recorded most everything at home. And then after I pretty much sent like what I had to my friends Noah and Rowan, who live in Chicago, who Noah does all sorts of studio wizardry. And they were like, this is great. Let's add real drums and we'll do some backup vocals and then we'll just mix it together. And it was like,
Cool.
Yeah, let's do that. So I went out to Chicago. We finished it up there. But yeah, most of it, I mean, like all the guitars and all the singing and all that stuff, outside of those backup vocals, like I mentioned. It's just me in my apartment hanging out.
There's something just lovely about that because I would love to, because there is a huge production quality of this record as well. It's what there's like, moments of reverb and almost not necessarily synths, but like, again, moments of like nuanced production, that are really, really cool. And I was wondering, are those decisions that you made, or were you like, hey, I want you to, I need like producer work or help on this?
No, no, yeah, those were there.
Cool.
I I spend a lot of time when I'm working on stuff like this. I spend a lot of time sort of just like I work a lot on my laptop, and I'll be like laying in bed, like I'll be like prone,
Hmm.
and I'll just let these like sort of like ideas of like passages and like sort of like synth waves and things like that like wash over my brain. So if you ask me like the next day, like how did you do that? Like I don't know. Once I'm out of that moment, it's sort of gone. But like a lot of that went into it where it's like I just wanted to make little pockets of like interest within each song
Totally. It's
so that
you've really curated that. I think that there's like
yeah.
that I think that like besides like again, incredible guitar work, incredible lyricism, like you just touring with just a guitar, I think people could like totally 100% get the album, or at least that 99% would they get it. And then there's this 1% that just really shine for me. And I think maybe it's because it's like my background in like sound design and like just thinking about
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like there is just so much little niceties, so much little
Hmm.
like just like really waxed shiny spots where you emphasize such wonderful, it's you've really conducted it. Like that's how it feels. It feels like not just arranged, but even the space is arranged, and like it's so that's so cool that it's also more in the spot that you kind
Mm.
of don't really remember how you did it. You were like, but I got it to where I want it to be.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think a lot of it is like I've done so much recording in my life where it's like you go in with a band or something and it's like, well, the drums go and then the bass goes and then the guitars go and you sing and it's over. That's it. There it is. But so much of this really was like arranging the spaces that the songs live in.
Mhm.
There is like there really is, when I think about it, almost like a cinematic quality to it where I do want these things to be like to feel like their own little lived in worlds.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm glad that you recognize it because I'm like, these are things that like I don't even think I consciously like think of on a regular basis. But when I'm making the music, I'm like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
I want these spaces to exist. So
It's just
it's so nice to hear that it's working.
yeah. Like I'm
Yeah.
glad that I'm able to validate like those little
No, you really are. Like I've had I've talked to a lot of people about the record, but like not like this. So
There's like I think that I wanted to make sure that I talked to you about like the stuff that I pulled from it. I mean, obviously, I think everyone's going to talk about like again, you sound wonderful on this record. There are
thank you.
everything is just kind of class. I mean, there's nothing really classic about it. It's just like this as a Nashville post Bright Eyes, I talk to a lot of like emo bands, and I talk to
Mhm.
just like I try and talk to as many people as I can, but
Okay.
the I talk to a lot of like young cats doing like big loud twinkly guitar modern
Of
young
course.
20s emo music. And so
Yes.
being able to having the homie reach out to me about listening to your record and talking to you about this, I was like so excited because this is so different. Again,
Mm.
same space. It all comes from the same weird emo space of like, hey, I want to talk about big yearning, but this was such a nice change of pace where I just felt I could get cozy with it, and
Mm.
it's just very log cabiny, or again that
Mm.
driving on and it feels very Nebraska to me for some reason.
Okay.
Like there's a lot. I grew up in Iowa, so like there's a lot of
Okay. Yeah.
I lived in Iowa City, and then I had friends that lived in Cedar Rapids, which was like 45 minutes away, and so there was always
Mm.
this perfect length of I could get a full record in, and when I was listening to your record,
Yeah.
that's what it felt like. I could listen to that perfect record with just like going through the hills and just like thinking about stuff. Like there's just such a good Midwestern quality to this record that I
Mm.
am fully obsessed with. There's something just wonderful about it. What were your like favorite things about making this record? Because I know that like
Mm.
There's a long distance in between, Sky of No Stars
Oh yeah.
and then I can hear the birds they sing, and then you're like, okay, I'm like there are literally 8 years in between that, and then you were like, fuck it, I'm gonna do another one. Like, I would love to kind of hear, like, first of all, the gaps in your resume. Like, it's kind of perfect.
Yeah. I got it. Well, no, I mean it's what is I think left out in there, which a lot of people either don't know or like haven't been privy to or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I did make 3 records under the name Bad Heaven, and then later Bad Heaven Limited.
Okay, cool.
So, but I will say with those, it was like that came after. That would have come. I think the first one came out in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
But even with those, it was like I was definitely more focused on, even though it sort of had elements of what I'm doing now, it was definitely more like sonically band focused,
Sure.
I wanted to construct sort of like, I was still something I did with this record specifically, and then I'll go back, was like I wanted specifically to be able to sit down with a guitar, play the song all the way through, and have it make sense. I didn't want to be like, well, the drums dip out here, and if you can't hear that, it doesn't make any sense. So I can't play this one live. It's like, or this part has like a long synth overture, and if like that doesn't exist, I can't play this live. Like with those Bad Heaven records, that was a lot of that, where I was like, they were very much focused on like, I need a full band to do this. Sometimes I need, like I need strings and synths and guitars, and it's like it's just like, this is ridiculous. So it always turned into this like really hard thing to replicate, which just made me just like incredibly frustrated, because it's like, and also I think because of that, there, as passionate as I was about it, there was sort of this like, it's just hard to replicate. It's hard to duplicate. But I will say, what I think, if we do look at my resume as not having those 3 in there, that really fill up that gap. That 8-year gap is really filled up there with the 3 records by Bad Heaven Limited.
It's like, I always like it's always like, the way I like to describe it is like the shoelace that is tying it all together. Like, I would love to, I'm gonna go back and listen to all of them, because I just am like,
Oh yeah, you should.
So excited.
They're cool records. I think the last one I made is called In Our House Now, and it's sonically, it's like, it's still, I listened to the first 2 that I made, and I was like, okay, yeah, these have moments that are really neat, and they have songs that are good and some that are clunkers, and it was very much like, oh, this is of this time in my life, and then I listened to the third one, I'm like, this is great, and like, this is just sounds great, like, this is just an insane sounding record that like, I'm really, I at this point, I don't feel like I'm a part of it all, like, but yeah, so I would definitely go back and listen to it.
I am going to listen to it because I'm really fascinated to see like the shoelace through you wanting to leave, first things first, you and your name, to go into like this other thing that obviously there's something happened, and after 2014 where you're like, I want to no longer be John Galm, I want to be this band, like, and you have this concept. So like, going from that, going from Sky of No Stars into Bad Heaven, what was kind of like that big moment?
If you want, let me trace it all for you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So so I going further back, I played bass and sang in a band called Snowing, which we were around for 3.
Everyone knows Snowing.
Okay, great.
It's Snowing, big. I had no idea you were in Snowing. I'm sitting here with my eyes fucking dilated, like, this motherfucker was in Snowing.
No, but it's like, but it's part of it,
Yeah,
It's like,
holy shit.
Yeah.
Emo royalty.
Yeah. So wait, did you really not know I was in Snowing?
I had no idea you were in Snowing.
Oh, sick! No way.
This is a huge moment for me, where like I just focused on listening to this record, and just that was it. I like did. It was
Dude, that
was
is incredible. I love that.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I like this record. I'm going to talk to this homie, and I'm sitting here learning as much. The audience and I are like losing our like. My audience is probably just like, yo, you didn't fucking know, and I'm gonna be like, no, I listened to a record.
That's so sick. I love that. There's so much of my musical history and life is tied up in the fact that like I sang in snowing. You know, pretty much for like the next several years, I was trying very much to distance myself from just being that guy.
Sure,
you know, like the emo guy. You know, so I played in a garage rock band called Slow Warm Death.
Cool.
And then there's a record, you can check it out. And then I played in like a weird we did like a weird, that band actually did a weird noisy hardcore like gross disgusting spin-off called The Beds, which you can find on Bandcamp somewhere.
Cool.
But then I ended up moving to Portland, Oregon, and then when I came back to the East Coast, I was like, basically I had this vision where I was like, you know, we're talking 2014 now, where I'm like, snowing has broken up, and I've never, like, my musical life has never gotten back on this track where I'm consistently like playing shows and touring and like people give a shit about what I'm doing. And so in this like weird fucked up way, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna like do a solo project and sort of like give the kids what they want, is what I kept like thinking.
Funny.
And then I make Sky No Stars, which is just a haunted record. Like,
that's really funny to describe it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I was there when we were recording it. It's a fucking haunted record. Like, I was so down bad depression wise, and like, you know, like my drinking was super out of control, and like I was like, it was just such a mess that I couldn't see the forest for the trees kind of thing. Like, I couldn't see like I didn't think I was making a really terrifyingly sad record.
Sure.
I thought like, oh yeah, there's some sad stuff on here, but like these songs are like good and people will like them. And then I like listened to it during the playback. I was like, dear fucking God, like this is like unsafe for like human consumption. And then so after that, I started touring as like just like a solo artist, and it was going okay. People responded pretty well to the Sky No Stars record, even with all the haunting. Mm-hmm. And I had recorded basically an entire follow-up, or I'd written an entire follow-up that was going to be like the big sort of moment where I was like, all the stars are aligning, and this record's going to come out, and it's going to like change my life or something like that. Mm-hmm. And as we started recording it, I was like, just so unprepared. You know, the songs were good, but like, I was like, mentally, I was like completely a wreck. And the guys that I'd been working with in the studio, like, they didn't get my vision really at all. No offense, like no fault of their own, because I wasn't really capable of describing it, you know?
Sure.
So it just turned into this like huge mess where it's like, now I have this record, it's supposed to come out on Top Shelf, and I owe them like a couple $1,000s for recording costs, and it sounds like dog shit, and it's not what I wanted at all, and it's just like a complete fucking mess. So, you know, I remember specifically sitting at a Starbucks in Memphis, listening to like the final mixes of the record. Or not even the final mixes, just like mixes I got back of like the full record, and thinking like, I can't release this. Like, it's just not there. Like,
oh man, like that's crazy.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Like, it was, and it was at this point where it's like, I didn't know anything about home recording at that point in my life. And I didn't have any money. I was completely broke. I was like 27 or 28. So I felt like I was out of time. Like, I just felt like I had run out of time.
Yeah, I think that's a lot. Like, that is that age. I think like I'm 37 right now, and like I didn't start making music until I was like 32. So like I kind of skipped all that stuff. I feel like that all the people that I've talked to, there's kind of this that like when you're young and you make big music and you like tour and you do all this stuff before you're 25, and then when you hit like 27, you're like, I've never been the oldest. You're the oldest person in the whole world, and you're
the oldest person in the whole world.
That's
you're the oldest person at the show. Suddenly, it's like, what?
Yeah, it's from there on out. You're like you have to like mourn this death of like of that young rocker persona. They can't make movies about me anymore. Like there's the death of that person, and 100% like I can like I was able to I skipped that weirdly. I just said I wasn't ever going to be
that's good. Yeah. Like because as someone who's gone through it, it's not great. It's like it's really hard mentally to get through something like that. Like it seems so stupid because it's like, what, you're fucking sad about, you can't play music anymore or like whatever it is. It's like you're not cool anymore. But it's like, my whole identity up to that point had really been established in like I was the guy in Snowing, and now I'm not. And now I'm trying to like navigate this where it's like I want to make music for my whole life. It's all I want to do. And yet I need to find a way to do it that also doesn't drive me insane. Because there have been times where I thought like, I could just start another emo band, and I bet people would at least give me like, I'd probably get more like opening slots on tours,
Sure.
But I don't. That's not really what it's about, It's
1,000,000%.
Like I don't want to. Like at the end of the day, I didn't want to do that because it doesn't reflect what I want to do. What I want to do is I just want to make the art that speaks to me at the moment, and hopefully can find some sort of audience. That's the hardest part, obviously. What I learned later is like you also need to like just be okay with making the art. Like you just need to be like
the let go part where like I feel that's so interesting. You're the first person I've talked to that has come from again like this interesting thing of like late 2000s, early 2010s, like kind of again emo royalty. Like if you know when it comes to Snowing,
right.
It's and it's funny because like there was a huge part of me that I didn't start listening to Snowing until like way later. And so like me not putting like I never knew what the band names members was. So like you coming on the pod, I'm just like, hey, guy with cool new record. And so like this is really fascinating to see like, listening to you now and then also knowing those records and hearing how going from one end to the other. What a fucking journey, my guy. Where like there's your inspirations have changed. It feels like, was there ever a moment where you were like, I have to like not separate, but kind of in the way like kill your relationship to Snowing so that you could like proceed?
Yeah, I mean that would have been. I mean that happened right away. That was like as soon as Snowing broke up. That first band I did after Snowing was like the antithesis. Like Snowing had a lot of like crazy riffs. This band was like 2 chords, like 3 chord songs. Like
yes,
Snowing's all about fucking like I'm just pouring my heart out into like the lyrics, and these songs are all about like murders in alleys and shit like just total like 180 flip on its head, just based on like how vulnerable Snowing was lyrically, and how like when I listen to it now, it's honestly, and we were playing shows this year, so we've been practicing and like going to practice, doing the songs and stuff. It's like that band, those songs, it's just like a fucking raw nerve. Like it's like an exposed wire. Like everything about it is just like hyper energy, like all just like at all times kind of. So I very quickly became like a meme of a human, where like people were like, oh, that's the Snowing guy, he just yells and cries all the time, like and it was a really uncomfortable way to be perceived.
I can imagine, where it's just like, hey, this is it's not like a cartoonish version of yourself, but it's like there's
No,
this.
but but that's actually a really good way of putting it. It's almost like a cartoon version of like I feel like people saw me as just like, there's Bugs Bunny and there's fucking Daffy Duck and there's John Galm. Like I'm just like I'm gonna come on the screen. You're gonna know exactly what I'm gonna do. It's like I have like this persona, and then I would sort of be like treated by people in that regard,
100%.
which was debilitating in a way. Like, they expect a lot of people expected me to be like one way,
Hmm.
and the reality of the situation is like I, in like those snowing moments, I can like get all this like, energy out, all the bad feelings, and then like I just want to hide. Like I'm just like I'm
Hmm.
like, you know, I need a lot of alone time and a
I
lot
think
of
there's
recharge time.
I think there's that people need to remember. Okay, so like when you watch TikTok, there's some times where like uh I've ever since like the TikTok bang happened, I kind of like deleted off my phone.
Hmm.
And plus I like Reels anyway because it gets really weird sometimes and I love that shit.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
but there's when you hear about like let's say when you see like a famous just a famous moment on TikTok, or on Reels or some kind of viral moment, and then you see like them trying to like do the same thing over and over again to recapture that thing. Like
Yeah.
that's people that are trying to become 2D when they know that they are 3D. Where
Yes.
like you were trying, people wanted you to be 2D in a way.
Yes.
And you were like, no, I'm 3D. I'm a full fucking person and I'm not just
Yeah.
that shade of myself. Like it's really, really nice to hear someone, ricochet away from the thing that, like that people did. Would you say that people wanted that and, or just wanted to expect
100%.
it? That's so fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, I really struggled. I think it was easier actually. Like when I was doing the solo thing for the first time and I started touring as just a solo artist after Sky No Stars, I didn't, I think people were still along for the ride a bit
Hmm.
more, where they were like, oh, this is the dude from Snowing, but it's only been a couple of years. So like, he's just trying something new or whatever. That time period that really, uh, I feel like I was still able to like I'd get in a room with people and I'd play them songs on my acoustic guitar and I would just sing these songs
Uh-huh.
and for some reason there was like a patience to it. Like they were like willing to be there with me
Hmm.
and I had some really incredible experiences back then. Like we're talking that tour where I was literally in Memphis and at the Starbucks listening to my fucking album that I was like I can't put this out. Like that same tour, I'm having these shows where I'm playing for like, 50 to 100 people, or like even like 30 people in the living room. And everyone's like you could hear like a pin drop like a mile away. They're so invested in what I'm doing. And I'm just like, and we have such a like good rapport and connection by the end of it that I'm like, this is all I ever want to do. This is the best experience I've ever had. Like,
1,000,000%. And that moment
and
where everything's synced up, man, where that is,
yeah,
it's fully addicting. It is fully like
it's
powerful.
so, dude, it's so addicting. And
Hmm.
you're right. It's so powerful.
Hmm.
So I think when I sort of when I knew that that record wasn't going to come out, and we're jumping back, but like
Hmm.
when I knew that I couldn't put that one out because of all these reasons, and I knew I couldn't re-record it because it was like I just spent all this money and I was broke. It was a whole thing. Like I just had to give up. Like it was just like I had no in my mind at that time. I had no path forward. So like instead of like continuing this thing where I was like, okay, I'm just going to be like a touring artist and I'm going to put out records and I'm going to hope for the best. I'm going to sacrifice like a bunch of shit, like adult shit to try and do
Uh-huh.
this. It suddenly got to the point where it's like, actually this failed kind of, and I can't afford to fix it. So I just have to sort of pivot. And so from that point, I ended up very quickly moving to Philadelphia, where I then lived for a decade. But part of that was like, I had to get a job and I had to
Yeah.
fucking go to therapy and like I had to like just become like try and become more of an adult. And within that structure, that's where the Bad Heaven record started, because it was like, I want to get as far away from this solo project as I can.
Oh
Because like
yeah.
in my mind, it was a failure. It was an abject failure. You know, um, I wanted to do something that would be more fun and that I could do with my friends and that I could like experiment with people and play in a band again. You know, but also then have this like try and have like a normal life. Where like, I go to work Monday through Friday and I'm not saying it was great. I'm just saying it's what I thought at the time. It's like,
And it's always in
I would
hindsight too. It's always in
yeah,
hindsight.
I needed after that, like sort of after years and years and years of instability, I really think I needed a couple of years of just boring stability, which is what I got. And there were some moments too, like the second Bad Heaven record, I was actually playing in a band. I had assembled a full band. Um, we had another member from Snowing playing bass, and the original guitar player from The World Is playing guitar. And so it was like emo super group ish, but we were
Yeah.
playing like these weird like slowcore songs basically. And like we had conversations with fucking like real record labels, like we had Saddle Creek came to see us, and fucking Jaguar came to see us, and it was like, so there was a point there where I was like, oh, this is going to be it. We're going to do it now. Like I'm gonna like I had to pivot away from that to do this, and this is the right thing. And then that all fucking fell apart.
Oh my god.
The thing about it's such a long process that got me here.
Yes.
And it really is like, it really, really is, because the thing that started me on the path then to writing this new record is I was playing in a different band. We were based in Philly. We were called Mount Worry.
Mhm.
Just like a rock band, like shoegazy kind of stuff. Like, great, it was nice. And two of our members were moving to Chicago because that's where they're from. So it's just like, for their going away show, basically, they were like, "Can you play solo?" And I was like, "I don't do that anymore." And they were like, "Well, you can do it for us."
Yeah.
So I spent like, a couple of weeks really like just like sitting in my bathroom, because I had good acoustics in my apartment, just like singing old songs and like getting like trying to remember how to do it. And then I play this show, and it's like that addicting feeling, that crowd, that like that, oh, this is like I'm doing it correctly again. Like the stars are aligning and it's like hitting me in the brain. I felt it there, and I was just like, well, if they're leaving, I guess I'm making a record. Like, like it was just like, oh, it was just like that clear of a decision where I was just like, I guess I need to do this now.
It's like you put the suit on again, and it's just
like you put the suit on again. It's fit.
Yeah, and it fits, and it's just like, and like there's moments where like you think that it's just like, oh, my feet are shorter, my waist is larger. Like there's like these moments where like, I'm so happy you put the suit on again, because you've now put out 2 records since then, and I bet that you really you sound like you feel comfortable with this version of yourself.
Well, I think, and that's another thing where it's, it's taken me a really long time, because I'm 38.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken me a really long time to feel just like comfortable with who I am,
Mm-hmm.
like just like on a day-to-day basis, just like where I wake up and I'm like, I would think about Madonna a lot. Like I would try, or like David Bowie, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I would try to reinvent myself. Like I would try these different personas, and in these weird hopes that like one of these is going to click. Like, I don't know, maybe like the harsh noise persona, where it's like, suddenly I'm going to start like dressing like an asshole and get really into harsh noise. And if I do that, maybe for some reason it's going to click in my brain. All the depression's going to go away. All the anxiety's going to go away. And this is actually the path I'm supposed to be on. And I would do this with like different things. Like, I had friends who played in like Warped Tour style pop punk bands. Like I tried to do it there. I tried to like conform to what they did, and I was like, this is horrible. Like I gotta get away from it. But like I tried to be like a hardcore guy for a little bit. I tried to be like, and the thing that sort of took me a really fucking long time was like, Jesus Christ, I'm just me, and it's just like.
It's nice. It feels like that again. Like that's like you try on the suits, and some suits don't fit, and like this is the one that fits, and it may just fit right now. Like I mean, it's just like there's hey, we're gonna do 3 records of John Galm, and then when you're in your 40s, you want to do something else. It's just following your gut. And right now, I bet it feels like you're on the right track. Like that's probably just what it feels like to you, and that's a good thing. When you started working on this, on the new since the 22 record that came out, I can hear the birds they sing. Since then, is this the new suit that you feel comfortable with? Like this is you want to do you and a guitar and just kind of like play this part.
It's hard to say. I don't think it's so much that it's the new suit as it is just like, it's just allowing myself to be comfortable in the suit that I'm already in.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It'd be like, I don't know. It'd be like if Superman was suddenly like, oh, I don't want to like wear blue anymore. And then it's like trying on all sorts of different stuff. But at the end of the day, he's like taking it off and the Superman suit's still on underneath it. And he's just like,
that's
why
so
can't
good.
I find, but it's just, it was really just like allowing myself the comfort to just be myself and to like accept that I am who I am. And like, I just, I can either struggle my whole life to not be okay with that fact and to try and be someone cooler than I think I am. Cause it's nothing crazy. It's not like I have any sort of like, it's all perceived as like I don't feel like I'm cool enough or adequate enough or insert something there,
Yeah.
And in my head, like these little sort of like aesthetic changes or like behavioral changes will like, make me a completely different person who's like well adjusted and like really hip and is like very good at watching foreign films and like things like that. When realistically, it's like, at the end of the day, I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm only okay at watching foreign films. And, I as much as I like, like I love like ambient music and like soundscapes and stuff like that. And then when I go to the gym and go for a jog, I listen to fucking My Chemical Romance. Like, it's like,
yeah, yes, 1,000,000%. I think that there is, okay, here's the question. When you, over the course of your musical history, I think that also what's important is the people you look up to and the things that you were inspired by. So who were you inspired by during the Snowing era and who are you inspired by right now?
During the Snowing era, that was such a hard thing because I loved, I loved Cap and Jazz and I loved The Promise Ring and I loved like bands like that, which is like the bands that we obviously all started listening to like when we decided to start playing that sort of music. But I was really into like the Smiths and I was really into like, I was really into like Chet Baker, a fucking jazz trumpet player, cause you know why? Cause he sang and his songs were devastating, like,
yeah, yes.
I love, I had such a like wide palette of like interests music wise, even back then. I loved fucking, I loved Patsy Cline and I love country music and I love like, and I loved Converge back then. And just like, again, that like raw nerve of like just like pure unbridled emotion, you know, where it's just like terrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
and that makes sense because it's like coming from all those different forms and genres are like the different kind of colors of exposed nerve. Like that is one. So that's really, really funny that you're like, yeah, no, you just, you know, wanted to do a different color of it, which makes a lot of sense. And you're kind of just doing that again now. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can tell you, like my, you know, for this record, my big like North Star was Willie Nelson, who I just like, you know, I like country music a lot, and I like, but I don't have any sort of, I'm from Eastern Pennsylvania. I don't have any Southern bone in my body. It's like, I don't, it's just not within me, unfortunately. Like I've tried to sing country songs myself and they sound stupid. Like I just sound like an idiot. So, but there's something about, I started sort of, you know, I was listening to him a lot, and then I read his autobiography last year or 2 years ago now. And, he, just like hearing his progression of like kind of going through the same thing where it's like he had to sort of reject these ideas that he had forced upon himself about who he was and just let himself be himself. And it was like, and just seeing like, he was like, I like the way that my guitar sounds with my playing the nylon string with a pick. And like, no one does that, but Willie does it and he likes it. And it's like, you know, just being like, oh, okay. And just sort of just like this like idea of like accepting who you are, you know, faults and all, warts and all. It's like, at this point in my life, I'm almost 40. There's going to be no large change that's going to make me a different person, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm going to wake up every day, every single day of my fucking life and feel like me. And I have to, and I've had to learn how to be okay with that. That's really the big thing.
I think that's kind of like, I think that there is the sine wave of like being released from, you know, turning 18 and using your 20s to see as many sides of the totem pole as you can, try on as many different suits as you can, and then being mad about the decisions that you made. Like, I think that like that is the part no one tells you, that there's like, you know, once you get into your mid 30s, there's like this part where you go, oh, I'm glad that I picked those parts of myself to focus on, and I'm glad that I was mad that I didn't do the other stuff. Like there's this weird part where like, even for myself, where, you know, starting to play music, my history with playing music was really weird, where like I always wanted to, but everyone was like, so like, for some reason in my I grew up in Iowa City, Iowa, and everyone was like really, really talented around me. And so I just did not think I would like make not even like make a splash. I just didn't want to pursue it really, because I just wanted to watch everyone else succeed. And then just moving to Nashville and then deciding to do music was also dumb, but because everyone is like so incredibly talented here.
I was gonna say that seems like a really intimidating place to try and start making music, but
it was like, and even specifically like in like like I wanted to do like emo music, a throwback to like late 2000s, like, or sort of more like mid 2000s, Taking Back Sunday, brand new stuff, where I was like, I wanted to do that because that's all the stuff that I grew up with, and I was like, this stuff's fun. No one's really doing this stuff anymore. But like yeah, like I wanted to really, you know, hone in on that kind of stuff. But when it came to like, I'm glad that I had to like look back, because my wife was, when I was like starting to make music, she was like, well, what are you doing it for? And that is like, that's something that you know, no one asks those kind of questions when you're 20 starting a band, where like, I had to have a really like honest conversation with myself. I'm like, am I doing this? Like, like she was like, listen, I don't care if it's you wanting to be selfish. I don't care if it's like this is a narcissistic moment where you just want to like either prove something to your older self or not, or to your younger self. She just wants, you should know why you want to do something so exposed. And I think that would there be I'm glad that I asked myself those questions when I started, so I have like a better understanding where I'm at, 5 years later after starting. What's a question you wish you would have asked yourself when you started like making music?
Like when I first started making music.
Well, like when you realized that you were like, I want to do a band and I want to like start like I want to like make records. I would like there's not like I don't want to say like I want to be like the moment where you're like I want to be a rock star, where it's like the moment I think that is distilled in a way which is kind of gross, but there's a moment where a lot of musicians are like, okay, I want to fucking do it. Like there's like kind of that moment where you kind of step over the line. We're like, okay, I'm starting to do this now. And like someone, you travel back in time and you get to finally ask yourself the question you wish you asked yourself.
I think
it's funny. It sounds like you know the question.
Part of me is just like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, no, but it's also like, how far do you know how hard this is going to be, and how far are you going? There's this thing. It's like, how far are you willing to take it? Where it's like, and I don't mean it's like, I'm now seeing friends who play in bands professionally, or like, and they go on tour and they do really well and they have like huge fan bases and whatever, and they still struggle, like both mentally and also financially, and like there's that like love of the game for it, where it's like, why are you in this? A thing that I realized more recently over the last couple of years was like, I didn't have like a very supportive sort of like parental guidance or like adult guidance of like my music, where it was like, it wasn't just like, follow your dreams, kid. Even if you're broke, you'll go far. It was like, if you are not financially stable and able to like take care of yourself, that is bad.
Yeah. It's just the simplest version of it.
Yeah. So in my head, this thing has always been like, man, I really want to like say fuck it all and like just do music stuff. But at the same time, I'm terrified of the idea of like disappointing the like people who just want me to like be okay and safe. And I still struggle with that, where I'm like, I literally tomorrow is my last day at work at my current job, because I am starting a different job on Tuesday. And these are like, I've been working in like business offices of colleges for the last several years, and just doing like mundane shit, office shit I honestly don't care about, like, but it's a job and I have to have one.
Yes.
And, even just moving from like this one job into this other job, there's this part of me. It's like, is this it? Is this all I'm going to keep doing? Like, is this really enough for me to like, is this sort of stability that I've gained, that I've grounded myself in? Like, does this outweigh what I want to do as a musician? And if push came to shove, like if this record comes out and people really seem to like it, am I going to have the guts to like follow that and be like, oh, people really like it, I might have to like not work and go on tour? That's fucking terrifying. I'm
Yeah.
really like, and also it's completely hypothetical because this record might come out and no one might give a shit, and then I might just be like, well, I go to work every day.
Yeah. I think that there's like the risk thing. There was I saw just some clip of something about the difference between going to the Oscars and going to the Grammys. And the difference between going to the Oscars and the Grammys, apparently, according to this person, was like you go to the Oscars and these are a bunch of like people that listen to direction. That this is, every actor, every editor, it's just people that follow a lot of rules. And so when people are told to sit down, everyone sits down at the same time. Everyone stands up and claps at the same time. It's this whole thing. And then everyone at the Grammys, the way he explained it was that these are the most disobedient people on the fucking planet. And I really resonated with that because the only way a lot of people outside of like nepotism and stuff, is they had to make seriously dangerous decisions and like disobedient, against the grain, unsafe financially and everything decisions in order to like get to those spaces. And I think that there is something about, and I think that there's something about like in this DIY space where it can be enough where yes, we can go to work, and then on this side, because again, we're 3D people, I want to have I want to be safe first. And it's maybe it's about priority. Maybe that's what it is. Like, there is always that gamble where it's like, okay, cool. Well, how do I manipulate this risky thing where, do I try and find a job that's remote where I can, work on the road? That's what I like ended up having before I started, doing music. So I was like, oh, wait, oh my God, I have this opportunity to actually do all this stuff. Maybe things are like lining up. Some cheat code was found where maybe this is available. Maybe that's not maybe the bar job isn't the new music job now. Maybe it's the remote office job doing customer service or marketing or some shit like that. So like when it comes to the risk thing, there's also like the amount of risk as well. Like you could probably do weekenders here and there. Do you know the band A Place for Owls?
Yeah.
So love them so much. They are Soy is like one of my favorite people in the world. And something that he told me is, it was like, A Place for Owls, they are not a touring band. They will do weekenders here or there, but we all have lives and jobs, and this is what we're comfortable with. And that's what I love talking to all these bands about, is finding like where their risk level lies. Like I like yesterday I talked to 2 days ago I talked to this band called Pomfret. They were on the road while they called me on their phone, and like they were in Nebraska, and they just like did this whole podcast, and they were like, like I'm in school, I'm gonna miss some classes, and then I'll be back from tour. And so like the levels of people's comfortability when it comes to risk is so interesting to me. And so like having those conversations with yourself of like, you're pulling the bow to see if you want to release it or not.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, at the end of the day for me is like in a perfect John brained world, I would tour like all the time. I love it. Like I love nothing more. Like since from when we started touring when I was like 18 until like I just immediately was like, just there's that sense of like adventure to it that is like next to nothing, and then at the end of the day, it's like you get to do the other good thing, which is you get to sit in front of people or stand in front of people and play the music. It's like, how is this?
Why would anyone do anything different?
Why would anyone do anything different? And I would always get mad too. Like we go on tour with bands, and I've been on tour with bands where it's like they don't take it seriously. Like they don't treat it like with the reverence that it deserves, or they're like, oh, they want us there by 5. We'll show up at 7. It doesn't fucking matter. It's like, it does fucking matter. Like, how dare you look at this thing that we're doing that is so like the opportunity is insane that we get to do this in the first place. It's so sacred. and you're like spitting in the face of it, like fuck off. My God.
Yeah, I think that's really, really fascinating to think of it that way. Like, I think that um, it is sacred. This whole thing is, and
Yeah.
it is people, rock stars, people like talk about it, people that have like made it in that industry and then are, people that would have been on like VH1 like when I was a kid, like, have talked about, they don't talk about this part. They always talk about what happens after the, during the success era. And so I think that this part is sacred because it needs to be taken seriously, but like seriously in context of the thing as well. Like, being on time is just good fucking practice in general.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like the general courtesy you would like to extend to another person. That's really what like.
And it's like you have to also treat yourself like a business as well. Like, you have to, you going to a venue to play in front of people is a B2B experience.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, and it doesn't mean you have to be an asshole. Like, it just means, there are elements that you need to take seriously. Like, that's it. Like, that's sort of, yeah, but these are the struggles that I sort of go with. I mean, and again, they're fucking pipe dreams at this point. Cause like, I don't know what this record's going to do. I mean, I'm really proud of it. And I would love for the opportunity to like share it more with folks. But the reality of that situation is it's not up to me. I can do everything correct.
Yes.
And like, I can do everything that would need to be done to make this record successful in the ears of folks. And it still might not connect with people. They might not care. So it's like, I just sort of have to like do what I can, sit back and see what happens,
I think that's the most exciting part about it is like,
you see it as exciting. I see it as fucking terrifying.
I think that like, it's because of my expectation where it's just like, I think it's my desire of not wanting to be on the road where it's like, okay, so I'm going on the road in June to go to Coachella. And so I'm in Nashville. So I am not looking for the stress of like playing every day and driving and playing. And like, my wife is coming with me. Everyone's partner is coming with them. I like treating this like a vacation. Hey, we're all going on the road. Thankfully, we all get to play. And this is really interesting. And we're doing 3 days out of 7 days of tour, which is like really like, I'm like, oh my God, I get to just kind of relax. And then we're going to drive to New York and then we're going to go to Pittsburgh, which I've never been. I get to show my wife New York and then we're staying 2 days at Coachella. There's just really, really exciting.
Where is Coachella?
It is in Bowling Green this year.
Okay.
It's a place called Howard's. Coachella has been like this there's been 8 of them. There's been this really, really cool.
Oh, wow.
It's been a really interesting, from what I've seen and experienced, a really good breakthrough moment where a lot of early DIY bands like play there way before they become big. Like, seeing Origami Angel play that, or like or like Equipment and bands like that. Like, everyone has played like those kind of things. It's an interesting like underground green check mark to like see people that are on the path have usually hit it. So like, I like this. I like when it comes to the touring, when it comes to relationship with music, I come from such a safety of knowing that like, no matter what, I'm good. I have a house. I'm with my partner, and this is such a side thing for me. But everyone's stories around it is the most important part to me. I love like I feel like I started the podcast more before I started doing the band because like I found more interest in seeing everyone's desires and also kind of manifest in a way. That's like going from, brain to hand to guitar, back, go to a computer, then out and then in front of people is so fucking fascinating. And to think that like, and it's really exciting to also hear that even by, you're, when you're an old head like me, where you still are like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm going to hit the fucking road tomorrow if they let me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's, I think, yeah, from the moment that I started doing this for like in really any capacity, I've never really wanted to do anything else. Like, I have a lot of friends who are like, yeah, I do music and I've been really successful, but I've also always wanted to be like a business lawyer or something like that. I'm like, that's wonderful. I'm really glad. Like, I unfortunately have been bitten by the bug where I'm just like, I would just like to be on tour and like make records. But, because of like XYZ reasons, like that hasn't happened. So, I have like my day job, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And I care enough that I don't get fired,
Yes.
And then, I just want to make music and play for people. Like that is like it's my favorite thing to do on earth besides, eat peanut butter. And, which is my second favorite.
let's kind of dive into this record. We have the journey. We have
we really haven't talked about it at all.
I have to you're such a fascinating person, and I think that you and I could just do this over beers for the rest of our lives.
I'm sober now, so we can't. But.
So we can do this. We can do this over the nicest spindrifts.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a question. I'm diving into possible soberness. I've just kind of like kicked off a lot of like, I don't drink beer anymore. I love Fernet. That's kind of like my go-to thing. It's just like a cute little thing. It's fun. I don't like being drunk anymore. I just don't like this thing. I like participating in this thing. As a sober person, what is your go-to? Like, you probably have a nice palate for seltzers and things like that. What is your go-to?
Honestly, it's sorry, hang on. I have to let my roommate's dog in the room. She's having Are you okay?
My dogs are outside because I was just like, I know I'm going to be talking for a while, so you guys go play.
She's I just moved into this house like in December, and when my roommate is not home, she is very much like, I need somebody. Like, she oftentimes will just like sit at the foot of my bed or at like the foot of my desk, just like, and not even pay attention to me, but she just wants to be in the room,
Yes, 100%.
Like,
it's like a safety thing to them.
Yeah. And she's almost 12, so she's old and, gotta give her what she wants. Okay, go lay down. Yeah, I know. Anyway, as you were saying, my palate is trash. I'll be honest. I like some seltzers and things like that. I don't really drink a ton of them. They give me a bellyache. I like a polar,
Yeah.
I like the cranberry lime polar a bunch, but
I think anything cranberry is great and anything grapefruit is great. Like, just like, I'm literally just drinking Kroger versus like right now. Just like, I think the thing is that maybe the thing I liked the whole time was just bubbles. Like, that is just, I think that was it.
When I got sober, or I'll say do you want to leave? Now she wants to leave. When I stopped drinking, which was it was over 2 years ago now. It's like 2 years and 4 months or something, like 3 months. The thing that I missed most was just having a fun beverage.
Yeah. A little treat.
A little treat. So I drink a lot of coffee. I drink and honestly, while we were talking, I just drank an energy drink. So like, I drink a lot of just like fucking. If I go to like a gas station, like we have Wawa's out here.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the hub for like the convenience store hub.
I've heard that they're incredible.
They're great. I love them very much. And they're everywhere. But I'll just like look in the fucking cooler and be like, oh, that looks stupid. And like, like, oh, why? Like, I don't know, fucking like it's just so stupid. Just like so many different dumb candies have like energy drinks now where it's like, oh, a Skittles energy. Yeah, sure. Like put it right in me. Like,
yeah, like give me the IV. Let's just we're testing it. We're doing a menu tasting of like all the dumbest fucking
my
shit.
brother and I are now just like sending each other pictures of like the dumb energy drinks we get every day. Like, but you know, like I drink that and I drink a ton of Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Yeah. Yes.
Like I said, my palate is I went to visit a friend in Maine and they were like, I can make you a really nice pour over. And I was like, I know you can, bud. And I love that. And I'll have one every now and then. But also, there's a Dunkin' 3 minutes down the street. Yeah. So, like, this is like me with the foreign movies again. It's like, I'm just not good at the good things sometimes, you know?
I love, there is, and listen, audience, I promise we'll get to the record. We'll get to the record at some point, I promise. But there's just something really, really incredible about like the let go ofness where you're like, no, you know what? I just need something mid. And I'm not looking for, I feel like there's a lot of stories of people that get sober and they got like, and then I got really into espresso. And you're like, no, dude, I want to kind of like wreck myself and like with something kind of gross. Like,
well, you know, it's to that effect. It's like, I feel like when people talk about weed and like, I've heard this from some folks where it's like, you know, as marijuana technology has progressed, it's become like, you know, like everyone's making like the most powerful strains of all time. And people who, you know, used to smoke all the way back in the day are just like, I miss just being able to smoke weed and just like, you know, like you have a couple puffs off a joint and you're like, oh, I feel nice. And then you go on with like those days are done. You take like one hit.
That's my dad.
And suddenly it's just like, I've gone back in time, you know?
It's actually, when it comes to the weed thing, I find it fascinating too, because I had to change the way I smoke weed, where it's just like, I can't I'm not like, you know, the bong version of me is gone. Like
sure.
I can't do that because first of all, I'm risk averse. Like I can't that is not a safe way to smoke weed. Not in today's weed society. Like that is I'm not looking to delete the next 6 hours of my life. I'm just looking to like have like a moment of like, oh, I want just enough anxiety to make me clean my house exactly how I want it. And like, and that is what I want. and that is that's all I need. I just am trying to just get a couple of things done. And so like I have like a little pen and I have like a very specific way that I hit it. And then I like bring in a little bit more air to dilute it because I have to dilute it like this. Like I'm so scared of getting too high, but I need a little bit in order to get some things done.
That was like, especially as I stopped drinking, that was a lot of people in my life were like, oh, just smoke weed. And it's like, oh, okay. And like, I've smoked weed before. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll get more into weed. But I've had so many horrible experiences where I get too high.
Yes.
And suddenly I'm just like, not only is my day ruined, I don't know if I'm surviving this. Like suddenly
we're not coming back from this.
Yeah. Suddenly it's like a trial of the wills where I'm like, I don't know who I am or where. I got a quick aside. One time I was living in this house in South Philly and this band came through on tour and I just happened to have like some weed. This was 2019. Mm-hmm. I just happened to have like some weed in my house and they were like, these are friends of like my roommates and stuff like that. And they were just like, oh, can we have it? Like, we'll trade you for, we have an edible. And I was like, yeah, I don't care. I never smoke anyway. Like
candy.
Yeah. And they give me candy. Fucking trash pallet. Yeah. I was like, so they gave me a Swedish fish that was like, you know, the size of a bigger Swedish fish.
Sure.
That you can get. I ate just the head.
Mm-hmm.
It was Saturday morning. I had already done some things like that I needed to get done. And I was like, I'm just going to like eat the head of this. little bit, and I'll play video games or something. It's going to be just a nice afternoon. Fast forward, I can't. I'm so high that I'm like dry heaving, and I read on like I go downstairs and my roommate's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No,
Absolutely not. What
like
time is it?
like everything's moving, like everything like." So I get in my head because I see it online that lemons are good for like breathing in a fresh lemon is good for too much weed.
Yes, like to remove the demons from the body, to exorcise the demon.
So my roommate, we lived at like, down the road from like just like a little bodega kind of thing. And I was like, can you please go there and buy me a lemon, please? And he was like, yes, absolutely. So as he's gone, I'm doing laps where I'm walking to our front door, I'm touching the doorknob, and then I'm walking to the kitchen and I'm touching the sink, and then I'm just doing that. It's a straight line. It's like a long house.
Yep.
And I'm just doing that over and over and over. I can't, by the time I get like halfway across the room, I don't remember what I'm doing. Like that's how high I am. Like I'm just like and then like I get to the sink or I get to the door and I'm like, how did I get here? Like just fucking like. So then I see, as I touch the sink, I turn around and I see police, just like, flashing lights outside. And my head in that moment goes,
This is it.
This is it. Josh, bass player of The World Is a Beautiful Place and I'm No Longer Afraid to Die. Josh is no longer here, not because you sent him to get a lemon, but because you killed him. And now the police are here to arrest you for murder.
Oh my God. Okay. And then, so you have killed them. You've
killed him.
You've killed them.
I'm going to jail.
Do you is that like just like go to your room and like pack a bag? Like it's like what happens after?
I'm way beyond that point. I'm just standing at that point, frozen in fear, like I'm never gonna see the sun the same again. Like just
this, oh my God, you had your ego death.
One of them, yeah.
You had one of you had one of your ego deaths. That's incredible.
Yeah. I will say when he walked in the front door, I could have fucking died right there. I was just like, oh my God.
I think I would have started crying.
I told him the whole thing right away, and he was just like, you are fucked up. And I was like, yeah,
please
dude.
take your lemon.
My other roommate, Chris, who's like one of my very best friends, they came home later. And like I came out of my bedroom, like they said I was just like completely wrapped in a blanket. I was like, Chris, like I need help.
Everything.
At that point, that was like 6 hours later. I was still a mess.
There was again. I'm going to tell this story because we have to. Because first of all, I'm enjoying such. This is such a wonderful time. I'm having too good of a time. And so
I am too. So yeah.
So this is I had a friend who do you know what tincture is?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a tincture story.
Okay.
As a person that this guy made some, and he lives in Iowa, and he brought down like this. He found like some old bottle that had like skulls on it and stuff, and like made this vodka tincture and gave it to me. And I neglected to hear him tell me that, just put like a dropper of this into your LaCroix and just have a wonderful time.
Okay.
And so like I'm like I love to just rip shots. That was like my thing. And just like, let's do a shot of Fernet. Let's do a shot of tequila. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I had, my wife was here and a friend of mine was in town, and I was like, oh dude, let's do this. Let's do like this tincture. And we poured shots of this tincture and we ripped this shot. I cut to about 45 minutes later. As someone that is experienced and done like mushrooms, acid. I've done everything except the stuff that they make the movies about. That's the bad stuff. I've never done heroin. I've never done meth or any of that stuff, despite being from Iowa. I've never tripped harder than doing this ever in my whole life. It was the strongest thing that I've ever done. I was high for 48 hours. There was nothing weirder than like waking up the next day like still that high. No. Where it's like, I think I'm like, my wife is feeling the same way. Rewind a little bit. An hour afterwards, I just am looking over, basically seeing upside down, and in reverse color. Like my wife is crawling across the ground to find this bottle, and she just pours it out into the sink. She just knows exactly what has happened. Pours it all out. And it's like, it is a pure defense mechanism. It's just like, whatever we're going through, we will make it, and we will never this will never happen again.
This will never happen again. Oh my God.
It was a death defying experience. Something that my friend tried to drive home, got in his car, about a half an hour later, came back inside, and the last thing I hear him saying, he's like, I just don't know how to drive anymore. and I was like, I told him, was like, listen, you can leave only if like I can watch you try and get out. If I can see that you're driving, and again, I'm seeing upside down. And there was a moment where like, I looked at him and I was like, no, you got to get out of that car. There's no way. If I'm feeling like this, there's no way you're okay with this. And he was like, yeah, you're right. I can't, I don't even know how to drive or even how any of this stuff works anymore. And it was just a horrible, horrible experience. And I'm just so scared of I'm so scared of being too high now forever.
Yeah. I have one more quick story.
Yeah.
Because you saying the like, especially the upside down part, I was like, oh boy. So Mount Worry, band I played in Philly for about a year. We existed for about a year. We were playing at this bar in North Philly. And, we have like a half hour before our set. We're all standing outside, and our bassist and guitar player are actually Noah and Rowan, who helped me finish and mix the record.
Cool.
They're passing around this pen, and at that point I'm not drinking, but I'm at the same time, like, I've already stopped drinking, but I was like, I'll do a hit of weed.
You're exploring.
But also just like one, I know me, and I'm like, one hit of weed is like, it's like a nice area. Mm-hmm. So I take a hit of this pen, and then I pass it back, and it comes back to me, and I take a second hit of this pen, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm good for the night. Like we're going to play our set. It's going to be chill. Everything's going to be good. Not even fucking 5 minutes later. And I'm like, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Within 10 minutes, I'm in front of the bar. I have my head on the wall of the outside of the bar, and I'm looking down, and because I think I'm going to throw up, because the room just starts, or the whole outside just starts spinning and spinning. And I'm like, great, this is great. I start hallucinating that I am in my childhood backyard, and that I am 11, 12 years old, that I'm playing with my brother and my neighbors, and we're like just doing that stuff. And then I come to, and I'm 36 years old in Philadelphia. And in my head, I'm like, this is all a dream. I'm a kid in Catasauqua still. Like, this is all a dream. My whole adult life has been a dream.
Oh no! It's incredible. I think I don't. Has there been this moment where you are like, kind of looking back, always at that moment as kind of like a BCAD kind of thing, where like that's where that was it. I saw exactly what's happening. I'm still waiting to wake up.
Oh no! I mean, that was just sort of the moment where I was like, especially after when I finally like so that dissipated, and then I just started like losing almost like losing time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would just like zone out and come back, and I'd be like I would literally keep forgetting where I was. And then we had to play.
Yep.
And the whole time we're playing, I sing and play guitar in that band. The whole time we're playing, I think that I am sideways.
Yep.
Like, and we get done with the song, I would look at our drummer and I'd be like, did I do anything weird? And he'd just be like, no. I'd be like, am I sideways right now? And he'd be like, no. And I'd be like, great, please start the next song.
Yeah.
Because I needed to get through that as quickly as possible. Because
Yep.
I was like, I was going insane. But after that moment, it was like, I think I'm good forever on just like the like trying to be like a weed guy.
Yeah.
Like after that, it was like I've had like more bad experiences than good ones.
Yeah. And especially with what you like, there's probably a question you were like, what did I have? And they were like, this is normal weed. And you were like, okay, cool. If only 2 hits does that to me, it's obviously unsafe for me.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, even the edible from the previous story was like, one of our other roommate, I lived with 3 dudes at the time, and it was like, one was just a huge stoner. So I was like, hey, I'm not going to eat this. Kind of like your wife pouring down the tincture. I was like, I'm not going to eat this. Please, it's yours now.
Yes.
And he, in that single moment, was just like, oh, cool.
The whole thing. Yep.
And like, he was just like, yeah, it was just normal. I just felt normal. I was like, good for you.
It's just, there are just things you can't do. And just like, me trying to say, like, I think I'll always have like a little bit of weed guy in me, but like, it's again only because I love having that little bit of anxiety that makes me want to clean my house, and then my house is nice and it's awesome. Yeah. It's great.
No, and that too. I think with like with anything really. I mean, like, except obviously like really, there are obviously really hard, scary drugs that like completely consume your life.
Yes.
I think, if you can find like a happy balance with like substances and things like that, that's cool. Do it. It's like whatever you want to do. If you're not hurting anybody and like you're having like a good brain time, and you're not like, it hasn't become like an issue where you need to do it, I think that's all good. Like, which is what I was going to tell you about alcohol if you asked, but like,
yeah, like I think that it's like the alcohol thing is just so funny because it's like, I think that there's just I'm learning that there's a lot more sober people than I would have thought, and like there's this chance that me cutting back has been just like so positive and great, and everyone that I see either become sober or like cut back has a great positive experience with it, and I'm like, well, there's got to be some kind of there's a trick here. It seems like that it's awesome to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I was so honestly very jealous of those people, because I had a lot of people in my life who would stop drinking and be like, this is the best decision I ever made. I've never been like after like a week or like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they'd be like, I've never thought clearer. I ran a 5K. Like they're like just suddenly like their life is like just 180 changed. And for me, it was like every time I would try to quit drinking, it would very quickly turn into this thing where it was like, this is kind of the only thing holding me up right now.
Oh, fascinating.
Like, and it would sort of give me this like time and space to examine the life I had built for myself. And I would look at it and I would say, oh no. Oh no. And my life wouldn't get easier. It would get harder. I'd get, way more irritable, and I'd be just like sad all the time. And I struggle with depression to begin with, but it would be like worse, and I'd be lonely, and I'd be scared, and I'd be like, it's like, how are you people enjoying this? like I'm fucking dying over here. Like
I'm fucking dying over here.
yeah. And like, you know, people would be like, oh, you've been sober for 3 months. How's it going? And I'm like, honestly, not good. Like, I'm like really struggling to just exist right now.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of like when you see people who like quit smoking cigarettes and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, this shit's really hard. Like, you know, like I never smoked cigarettes really, but like, every time, you know, when I would try to quit drinking, it would just be like, this is really fucking hard. Cause it was such just like this enormous part of my life.
Totally. Like living in bars and playing venues and like being around it all the time. And I kind of, at some point,
you know, I was a very timid kid and I was very timid. I was very just anxious about the world and very scared of everything. And I started, including like doing things like drinking or partying or anything like that. But when I started drinking, it was the first time, I mean, I was 20 and it was the first time where I had a little bit of I had been let off of a little bit of a leash because my dad had passed away when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, because of the situation, had sort of like, wasn't like parenting as hard as they used to, you know,
mm-hmm.
where it was like, I had a little bit more like runway where I was
mm-hmm.
like going out and staying out and things like that. But I wasn't like doing anything like, I wasn't getting into trouble or anything. I was just sort of, you know, I was just kind of like being a kid for the first time. Like, and, but yeah, when I turned 20 and I started drinking, it was like the first time where I was like, oh, the anxieties are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like a switch,
mm-hmm.
you know? Yeah. So it was suddenly like, oh, I do this thing and all these feelings that I've always had inside me disappear.
Totally.
And it's like,
it's the cheapest antidepressant on the planet.
Yeah, until it's not.
Like that was me in smoking. I smoked cigarettes. It was so funny. Like my relationship with like doctors and psychologists and stuff. Like, I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was like 5. And so like I was on ADHD medication up through like high school. And there was a moment where I was like on 90 milligrams of Adderall a day. Like an absurd amount. That's like, I can't believe that they let me do that in 2005, 2006. But I started smoking cigarettes right after that. And I had like, just kind of went cold turkey just because I felt like there were two versions inside of myself and I didn't know who was the real person, where it was like me on meds or me without meds. Because I was on such a high dose, there was like, I had identity crisis shit. So I just went cold turkey off my meds. And then I also started smoking, and the smoking like cured all of my symptoms. I loved just like have a fucking cigarette because it's anti-anxiety. Like cigarettes just like you immediately just like, you know, cool you down, release all the venting. It was awesome. Then when I was 31, and like I was like the last few years of me smoking was like almost 30 cigarettes a day. It was like I just loved it. That guy. When I quit cigarettes, that was your telling me how you felt quitting drinking. That's how I felt quitting cigarettes. It was the hardest thing I think I've ever had to do. And it was because I was like undiagnosed so much stuff, and I used cigarettes and drinking basically to like cover all that stuff. Everything just kind of exploded out, and like I found out a bunch of, you know, the real diagnoses of everything. And it was I mean, everyone should go to a fucking psych and figure out exactly what they got going on. And I think that is like the first thing everyone should do. But like sometimes you just need to like stop doing something in order to figure out exactly where the holes are, because you've just been plugging up the dam with your fingers for how many years, and maybe you know, take your hands out and see what's actually going on. So that's kind of like what I went through. But like if I still smell cigarettes and I'm like, like it's getting nice out and I'm like, I just want to be on a patio smoking cigarettes with friends.
I get it. I mean, I've been watching, every time I watch like a sitcom and there's like somebody or whatever, anything, and somebody's drinking like some sort of brown liquor, I'm just like,
ooh, that looks pretty good. Ooh, that looks pretty good.
Yeah. Like, but at the same time, it's like, I just know, man, it's taken so much to get here.
Totally.
That I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's not worth that.
And
like,
I think that that's what a lot of people do. Like, I think that there's like, I think that's what keeps people a lot of safe from like the concept of like the relapsing, is where it's like, well, you just look how far you've come, and like to delete that, like, what's the thing that you see in jobs where it's like 0 days without an accident, or it's like the moment that you see like 1,000 days, once it gets to like 4 digits, you're like, fuck, we gotta keep this going. Like it's like that's really interesting to me.
No, and that's like, I still have the counter on my phone where I'm like, I don't check it every day, and I don't like log in every day, but like, every now and then, like I see something, like I'll just look at it, and it's like, just like, look at how far you've come. Like right now, that's, and it's like, there were times where like I literally couldn't make it a week without drinking. So it's like, just to think like I've gone over 2 years where it's like this thing that was like honestly also just killing me. Like
totally
this like complete slow death. And I mean, I touch on that on the record for sure.
Which surprise we're going to talk about.
But, it really just became this, like, as much as it was like, for a time it had been it had been like this antidepressant or this like anti-anxiety medication almost, like it turned into this sort of like debilitating, backbreaking thing where it was like, I turned to alcohol for every single good, bad, indifferent like feeling I had. I could drink about it. And, you start going to doctors and they're like, your blood pressure's a mess. And you're gaining a lot of weight and you're like not healthy. And it's just like, yeah, that's going to happen if you drink as much as I do. Like, just like, and that just being like, well, this is just how it is. And it's like, there's something about that. It's like, I look back on that and I'm like, that's scary. Like,
yeah.
And also that I just sort of accept that like, this is all that life can provide. Like, I have this thing that I like doing, which is going to the bar and getting drunk and coming home and being a drunk man. Like, this is all that life has to offer me. And this is all I can expect. This is all I can hope for.
And that's all you wanted.
I mean, if I couldn't have the things I actually wanted, yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like, this is after that layer, it was like, well, I'm comfortable here. Like, this is, after all you strive and do all that stuff and you let the ball drop and plinko all the way down. Well, at least I have this.
Yeah. Yep. After all that failure that I felt like real deep inside my bones type failure with like music stuff and just not figuring out my life, not finding what I wanted, never meeting the girl, never getting married. It's like, just like never figuring shit out. It was like, well, this is all I can expect. I'm comfortable. I have a comfortable job. I know I can get jobs doing X, Y, Z. And at the end of the day, I can go to the bar and get drunk. Like,
it's a really, first of all, just congratulations on your sobriety, man. It's so cool. That's huge. It's like, especially when it's like you want it. Yeah, it's fucking hard.
It's fucking hard. But like, no, I'm at the point too. It's like, I want it.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't like 3 weeks in and you're not testing this out. This is, well over 2 years and going, hey, this is it.
Yeah. It's scary too. Cause I think about that, like where I'm like, is this it? Like, am I really never going to drink again? And it's like, but also I can't fucking think like that. Like,
exactly.
because that's gonna drive like that doesn't that's not helpful.
Mm-hmm.
What's helpful is if I think about today, do I want to drink today? No, I don't.
No.
Because I know I just know the setbacks that would just like be immediate, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Even
here,
just like
let's dive into that song. The song that is about that. What song is that about on the record that you touch on all this stuff?
well, you know, it's interesting. Because there are two songs right in a row. Um there's a song called Summer After Work,
Mm-hmm.
and which kind of describes essentially what I just did, where it's like, you know, I have these really kind of detailed brain images where it's like I'm like leaving my office in Philadelphia, and you know, I just spent an entire day and it's fucking miserable. You know, like I don't want to be there. It sucks. I'm not getting any direct sunlight, you know. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
just like I'm essentially like just surfing news websites and like pulling down my fucking browser every time my boss walks by kind of thing, just so like they don't see how badly I'm fucking off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I walk outside and it's just hot. It's just hot and muggy and you finally feel that freedom for like 30 seconds where you're like, thank fucking Christ, I can go home.
Mm-hmm.
I can get out of here. And you walk out the door and you're met with just like stifling heat
Mm-hmm.
and like the roar of a city. And it's just like there's no peace. There's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely no peace. And the only peace in that is the song ends with me if we're looking at it this way, it's like the end of the second verse is like you get drunk after work and you have a hangover and you wake up the next day and you do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leads into the next song, which is called Into the Fire, which is just I think it's almost like my like it's almost like I needed to take a real look at myself
Mm-hmm.
with alcohol, you know?
Mhm.
Like, because I've sung about drinking a bunch before.
Sure.
It's been a large part of my life, but like, you know, never being so serious about the fact that it's like actually killing me.
Mhm.
Like being drunk every day for like 15 years, or like most every day for 15 years is this like slow death where
Mhm.
like, you know, I'm waking up after a night of drinking. I don't remember what I did the night before. I'm like trying to like assemble these thoughts, you know, of what happened, what happened after I left the bar. At
Yeah.
what point does the night disappear?
Yes.
Because there was a long period of time, I'd say for about like 7 or 8 years, where like I would probably black out most nights. And it's like, so you start doing that, and then you just feel bad, you know? The hangover is just there and it's real. And it just keeps getting worse. The older
Yeah.
you get, it just keeps getting worse. Suddenly, like something that you could like sleep off for a night, like 3 days later, you're still feeling it. And of course you don't stop.
No.
So it's like
It compounds.
it compounds and compounds. And I just needed this thing where it's like, then there was this. So another thing I sing about in that song specifically, besides the whole like, this is happening and this is real and this is what's happening to you, and obviously less words because it's a song.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was younger, I had older friends when I first started being like let off the leash a bit by, you know, after my dad passed. I had these friends who were in their like mid to late 20s who I like was starting to hang out with. I was like 17, and they had these nights they'd go to the bar, you know, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, you know, like on the way home, like so-and-so followed me so that like, you know, cause I was driving and I was fucking drunk, and like, so they like had to like follow me to make sure I made it home okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I just remember thinking like, wow, that's really bleak. Like, that's really like, that sounds like really dangerous and also shitty.
Yeah.
And then sort of getting to the point in my life where like, you know, I start leaving the bar and people aren't like following me, but they're like, you good? You sure you're good? Like, you good? And like, and then having a couple times where like, there was a night where I'm at the bar, it's just me and some regulars, and there's this old man that's there, and he straight up like, he's drunk, and we're just chatting with him, and he falls back off the bar stool, and we literally carry him home. And he's like, he's living in a sober living facility, and he's at the bar drunk, and we had to like carry him to the front door, and they were like, what did you do to him? And we're like, honestly, we're just helping him get home.
This is Good Samaritan shit. Like, and they're like, this is a sober living house.
Yeah. But it's like, but it just sort of had this thing in my head where it's like this is where it ends. Like, this is what it was. It's just these like eye-opening moments where it's like people start sort of like, without saying anything, they start sort of like having these like moments where it's like, you sure you're okay? Like, are you not? They're not going to say, hey, you drink too much. They're going to say like, are you going to get home?
Yeah.
Like,
the questions start becoming different. That's such a good way of putting it. That's so interesting.
And it's just this thing where it's like, the more you look at, like, the more and more it happens, the more it's just like, I think I'm dying. Like,
yeah.
like I really, I can't, and it's so, you know, death isn't something to joke about. It's super real and it's scary and it's going to happen to us all. And it's fucking, it's something that I don't think, I know that I fully cannot comprehend it. However, there's just something so real and visceral about just like feeling myself like starting to sort of decay, where I was just like, and maybe it's just a mental thing, but I knew it was physical too, where it's just like, I can feel myself becoming worse. And just letting it happen and being like, this is how it happens. This is what happens.
Yes. And
like, you know, right around the same time, you know, I had a family member who was like going through similar shit, and they were like, yeah, I have like a fatty liver. Like, you know, doctors are really worried about my drinking. It's like, I'm over here like, you know, I know that I have like XYZ problems that I'm just ignoring, you know, I have like high blood pressure and fucking probably also a fatty liver. And, you know, it's like, these are the things where it's like, you hear people like, oh yeah, he was like 43 and he died of, you know, like cirrhosis or something.
Exactly.
And it's just like, when you're in it, it's like, you see this coming. But sometimes it's like, for the longest time, I was like, I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to stop this.
Yeah. And also I feel like there's this kind of thing where it's like, you don't want to look. So ignorance is bliss. And you're like, that's it. You're like, hey, listen, I don't give a fuck. Right now is awesome. Like, I'm gonna, you know, compartmentalize this event of me drinking and having a good time. And even if I'm having a bad time, I'm just gonna, first of all, lie to myself and think it's a good time as well. I'm not sure. I had a friend one of my best friends passed away. He had a heart attack when he was like 32.
Oh my God.
Crazy. It was just like, there's a lot of things. Yeah. He was like 6'5" and like in the 300s. Like, he was a big guy, but he was also a big drinker, and like had dealt with sobriety and was like trying to stop and do all this stuff. And then he had a fucking heart attack. And so it was just like, whoa, what the fuck? So that like event for like rippled out through our whole friend group. And so there's a lot of us that have like BCAD'd into that, of like slowed down or like have started like exercising. Like, sometimes it takes like, not necessarily the loss of life, but it takes like a big event in people's like tangential lives to like have that. So like, you know, sometimes it's either slow when you start seeing that stuff, or it happens immediately when you suddenly notice it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof.
Yes.
I'm sorry about your friend. That's
Oh,
horrible. I mean,
my way of processing that is I wrote a song about it, and that was kind of like it. I wrote the song, and that was me processing it, and
good.
like homie is, we still make fun of him, and it's great. Like that's like
Yeah, I mean,
that's what you have to do. That's how we've all like dealt with that, and it's really we're all fine, but like those the year and a half was like pretty hard.
I bet. Yeah.
But I digress. This is
Okay.
your podcast.
I know.
Well, the thing is we're buds now, so this is obviously super real. The record, again, like I said, 2 hours ago. It's so
how long are your episodes?
My episodes are normally one thing of free Zoom, so 40 minutes. It's perfect. This has been one of my favorite conversations that have just led. It's been so natural that there's I literally had to keep this going. I got out of it, bought the extra Zoom, was like, I'm just gonna see how long this fucking goes. It's just nice. You're a good person and you're really fun to talk to.
Oh, well, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man. This is. I was like, okay, cool. I could probably shoot the shit with this guy for a long time. So let's just see if it happens while recorded. Let's just see how long it goes. This is all right. So we'll end this and do two things. One, I like to ask everyone, what do they do for their day job? So, what is your day job?
I'm I mean, I already kind of said it, but I do business administration for universities. So I've been working at Penn at the University of Pennsylvania for the last 10 years. And I'm now switching over on Tuesday to a different school.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but just that, I started when I was touring more, I started temping, and I found that because I never did the service industry thing.
Sure.
And I found that temping, a lot of times, if they would call you into an office, if you had a fucking pulse and have seen Excel, they're like, oh my, they were over the moon. So it became this thing where it was oh, I could just temp at an office, be a lot more comfortable than working in a fucking kitchen or whatever.
Yeah. And,
still after 3 or 4 months, be well, see you later.
See ya, got another tour, or I've got this going on.
Yeah. And it just sort of spiraled into this thing where it was eventually I was looking for something permanent, and I had been temping at Penn already, and they were just do you want to get hired? And it was sure.
Yeah. I like that answer too. Sure. And that's as serious as it is. I feel the exact same way. I've been in customer service for in apps. I worked for Uber Corporate. I've worked for Postmates. I've just worked for apps the last 10 years of my life.
Okay. Because
that's just what I couldn't get a job in the degree that I got, and I wasn't doing music or anything, but I was well, I'll just do this job because it's easy. I can talk to people all day, and I don't see anyone that has a problem in my world, they're not real. So that's why I'm a great customer service person, because I don't get flustered by people that are mean to me. I just, they're not real. So that's the way I deal with it. You guys are real. It's just an email. Just be nice. That's all it is. But office stuff is, first of all, grueling and dumb, but it's safe. And so there's some really nice comfort in that. It's like one-ply toilet paper. It'll still work.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, I think working within universities specifically, and higher education, it's almost I would say it's 2-ply toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's if I had to work in a corporate office somewhere, I'd probably be very miserable. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you're working around a lot of academics, you're working with people who generally just have an easier, less business driven, less oh, we need to meet XYZ so that we can get our quarterly profits or whatever. That shit doesn't happen. People are just we're here to serve the university. Wear jeans.
Yeah. It's please wear jeans. Just be normal.
Just be normal. Yeah.
Yes.
It's oh, you have like fun interests outside of here. Great. Like,
Yeah.
It's just been like, that's been really helpful, for me as like a human growing. Cause it's like, I never want to, if I had to like fully divorce myself from like myself to go to work, I think I'd be way more miserable,
Yeah.
So like,
1,000,000%. Especially like, I think that there's something about the jobs that where I think creatives need jobs that are like, kind of low stakes.
yeah,
Because like there's got to be that the high pressure stuff, especially, and I think that's why I like corporate work, or just like if I was just looking at Excel all day and like filing report, like you see all the movies in like the 90s and the 80s were like, hey, I need that report done by Monday. That doesn't sound like a bad thing. It was always portrayed as like this bad thing, but it just feels like something that's just like safe and like, hey, this is just low stakes. I'm just doing this thing because outside of this job is where I get my life from.
yeah.
And
I mean,
that's great.
that was the like Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips would talk about like his job at, I forgot where he worked, Dairy Queen, something like that.
I think
Kentucky
so.
Fried Chicken, I don't know. Long John Silver's.
Yes.
Long John Silver's.
It's so funny.
But he talked about how like, within 2 weeks of having that job, he knew everything he ever needed to do. So he would go and his brain would just shut off.
Yep.
And he was like, if the Flaming Lips never made it, I'd still be there because at the end of the day, I turn my brain back on and I go and I make my art and it's like it never happened. And it's
exactly.
like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I think that it's just also I think it's really important. It's like the reverse of sleep. It's needed where it's like you need to have this thing where you get to shut your brain off and like maybe it's because I have to exchange those hours for money, and maybe that's the reason. I think that's it. Like I'm able to shut my brain off 2 times a day, one during my job and 2 at the night when I'm asleep. One of them is for recharging me. One of them is recharging a bank account. Or it's this thing that
that's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah,
it's a really interesting like. Everyone has to do this. It's just a societal thing that everyone has to do it. Just find the thing that you are completely comfortable with shutting your brain the fuck off and doing it. And I think that like, and once you have that, great, because now look how much time you have for your activities afterwards. Like, hopefully you found a place you don't have a shittier commute, so you get more of that time. It's like, I don't know. I think that having a job and doing art is completely possible. Especially if you design it right, or you can get the job that lets you do it. It doesn't have to be like this fully miserable thing. There are people there are jobs that are like totally soul sucking because they take all of your slots of energy for that day. Where
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like I've been making records and music and all this stuff since I was 16 years old, and every time I say to myself, okay, I'm done. I quit now. I've quit music. It doesn't fucking happen.
No.
So it's like, at this point, I'm like, well, this is a very important part of my life and I will continue to do it probably until I'm dead.
Yes.
So I don't want anything that's going to take up that time. Like I don't want a job that's going to take up all of my brain power so that when I get home at night, I'm too fucking tired to think about music. Like
exactly
that it's not a priority of mine. If that means I'm sacrificing like some financial stability or like the ability to buy like really fancy gear or like, yeah, okay, fine. But like, I'd rather have the peace of mind that it's like, at the end of the day, I can go home and I can think about songs and I don't have to think about work anymore. Like, yeah, I have coworkers who are like, I love them dearly right now. Who are like, but they're essentially on call 24/7. Like it's like, yeah, they make in the 6 figures. I wouldn't want people calling me all night.
Yeah,
like,
for what? For what kind? Like, okay, so like my dad was a doctor, and that's all he wanted to do growing up. And then like later in life, he was like, yeah, it was great, but like at what fucking cost? Like working. He was like, I had nightmares that my beeper was going to go off. Like, if you're always worried that you're going to have to go to work and you don't have time to do anything else, like, what was the fucking point?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I really like. I do think, like my parents' generation, I know that they really, like, my mom and my dad both grew up without money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like of course their thought is like the stability, like just like survive. That's it. Survive. I don't know why we haven't come up with a better thing. Like as life as like people have like improved beyond that. I don't know why we didn't pivot to something that's like, you hear about these like European fucking nations where they work like 20 hours a week and they can live and survive. And it's like, why did we just skipped that? It's like, now they're talking about doing like 80-hour work weeks and bullshit. It's like,
capitalism will always be the worst.
Yeah, no, capitalism is awful. I understand.
And that's just like, as much as we've always wanted to pivot into something like that. It's just, yeah, of course not. I mean, we're told not to. But listen, I'm gonna play a song from the record. I'm not gonna play it, I'll edit it in because I bet there's yeah, I'm gonna edit it in. What song from the record would you like to be played?
Oh, shit. I mean, you should probably play "Let Me Love You."
Yeah, I could totally do that. I love that song.
That's great. Yeah, great. Do it.
All right. So here's "Let Me Love You" by John Galm.
And I am the smoke that brings the cancer into your lungs. And I am the polyps in your throat. And I am the shrapnel that kills every child of war. And I am the makers of the drugs you can't afford. I am found in every part of life. And I am the sound that breaks the muscle in your ear. And I am the scream that burns your eyes. And I am the metal that took Hunter Thompson down. And I am the pebbles that send Kurt Cobain's head all over his greenhouse. And I am found in every part of life. That is fine, fine. La da da da. I will be there when you die. I will be there when you die. That is fine, fine, fine. La da 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 da. I will be there when you die. I will be there when you die. I will be there when you die. Because death is just just another part of life.
That was "Let Me Love You" by John Galm. Homie, I think we're friends now. I think we did the amount of time that we needed to become friends. Like, it's really, really wild that I loved coming into this knowing, like, literally knowing one thing about you, and that was this record. And that was, and I just got to like hear a really cool just life story from you. And I can't wait to possibly hang out in the future, where if I'm ever in that area, I'm definitely going to be like, hey, what are you doing? Let's go like read comics or some shit. Like
if I'm ever in, next time, if I'm ever in Nashville, you will.
Yeah, I cannot wait. So listen, I want you to have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for coming on and yapping with me for like forever. This is so sick. And I'll let you know when this comes out.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll talk to you later, big dog. See ya, man.